So today's card is the Orange Dragon. And orange is normally the sacral. It's normally your creativity. It's how you and your community are connected. What imaginative things can you think of to help your community be connected? Because as you can see again, we're seeing the bubbles. We're seeing the imagination. We're seeing the things bubbling up over the bridge. Now, when I look at a bridge, I often see what can we do to bridge the gap between ourselves and others. And that's what community of this card is all about. Moving into the future, bridging the gap, rebuilding the community, seeing humanity as something more than just a group of people sat in a house waiting for freedom. So let's see what we've got. Yes, we notice you're using the word freedom, when in reality you are free. It is your physical form that you are worried about being restrained, but your own spiritual form can go wherever it wants to. It can go through dimensions and worlds and imagination. And this is why we ask you to stop looking at what other people are writing and center on what you could write. What can I bring to the table about what has happened to me over this time? What has happened to me while this pandemic, we may as well use the word, has happened? What have I done? What have I achieved? And then bring it back down even further. What have I become because of my time spent during this pandemic? And this is where we want you to start. What do you need to let go of so that you can branch out back into the world and become a part of the community? What you need to cut away so that you can be more inclusive in your life. Either you join up with people and include yourself more, or include them more in your life. Because again, as you go through these trials and tribulations, these tests, we may as well be truthful, you are all being tested. What is it about yourself that is changing? Are you becoming more patient? Are you thinking of better ways to spend your time? Are you stopping listening to the chatter of others who are trying to make you believe something dark and terrible is happening, when in reality it is the world, and the world is what it is because of what is happening at this time? And this is the thing, is that you either see the world as a dark and terrible place with danger around each corner, or you sit in your power and you realise that I make my life. I interact with who I interact with, and it is my choice what I do, how I work, how I interact, and where it is. Because many of you are thinking, I haven't got this, I haven't got that. And in reality, the minute that you start to say, I haven't got, you're sending out the message into the world to say, I'm lacking. And immediately the universe will reply with more lack. So this is why we ask you to stay in as much of a positive place that you are. Be thankful for what you have. And be thankful for your community, because the more you put your energy into your community, be it energy of just knowing you have a community, when you go to the shops, just nodding at people so you're interacting, you can still do certain things and not feel as if you're being excluded. The thing is that this is what you have to turn around. You have to turn around the attitude, I am being excluded because of X, Y, and Z. Instead, look out, how am I being included? What is happening that I can become more included? What do I need to do to be more included? Do I need to take that step? Do I need to be more of a, how shall I put it, more interactive person? Do I need to drop these belief systems of thinking that I am being singled out? And by doing that, start to get your positivity into the right place so that you become more of the community of the world, the positive, the light bringer, the interactor, the community wider, rather than the community of the person who is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking because they are terrified that if they interact with people, that the world is going to end. And this is where this world is separating. You have the beings who are terrified to take that step outside because they feel that the world is a threat. And you have those who are not taking any notice and they are throwing caution to the wind. And then you have the middle ground. And so we would like you to see that you are reflecting your energy in these actions. This pandemic is helping you to see how your energy is. So as we said, you have the one group who are terrified to do anything because of the terrible world that it is, and then you have the other group that are so opened that they can't see danger at all. And then you have the beings in the middle who reflect on both sides and do the middle way. And this is why this thing has been allowed to continue, so that you start to see the world as the middle way rather than one extreme to the other, that you take into account what's best for me, what's best for my community, what's best for the world. And you build in that way, because you must build in that way. Because if you do not start looking after yourself and seeing how the world is, then how can you change the world? Because if you don't look at yourself and go, what have I been letting go? Have I not been eating properly, sleeping properly? Have I not been managing my money better? 101 things. But you need to look at yourself so that you can move into a better energy and therefore become more community based and then expand out again. And this is coming. And are you prepared for it? Are you prepared for moving out into the community? Not in a mad rush like a 2-year-old child going, I'm free, I can run out into the world, and into a moving car sort of attitude, but in a way of being, we won't say cautious, we will be saying more someone who is using their common sense. It is taking a step at a time so that they become more in the world, so that you are not overwhelmed, because there are going to be many people who, when the world is opened up properly again, are going to be overwhelmed. We've already seen many energies, as we look, are overwhelmed because they have had to go back to making decisions with physical people, and they feel overwhelmed because they're not used to interacting on a physical level. So this is why prepare yourselves now, start to work now on your expansion back into the world, so that when the doors open fully, you are not overwhelmed, and that you remain in your peace and you can make decisions for yourself that are sensible, that are informed, rather than you have the doors opened and you become overwhelmed and you shrink back. We ask that you start to plan, you start to look forward, you start to see, how is my world expanding? What do I need to do to accept the expansion of my world after this time of being closed down? And this is where community again comes in. Not just family, but the wider community. How am I interacting with the beings around me? How am I allowing myself to actually be friendly to people rather than absolutely terrified that they might give me something, which we know many of you still have? So we ask that you start to relax, still take care of yourselves, still look after yourselves, but start to expand yourselves out into the world, so that you know that you are interacting at an expansive level rather than hiding behind a wall, hoping that the world will stop giving you all these challenges. So we will leave it there, but remember, community is coming, so you need to start expanding yourself. Bye for now. Community is coming. You need to start expanding yourselves. creativity. Think of new ways of doing things that you haven't thought of. Children play together in a certain way, sharing, gently trying to learn how to be together, 101 different ways, bridging that gap, and also seeing whether or not, do I want to be with this person? Don't I want to be with this person? But as always, don't put yourself in any sort of danger. Always make sure that when you do these things, that you are in a safe space so that you are working at the level you feel comfortable with and not being pushed into doing something that you don't feel comfortable. So we will leave it there. Bye for now.